Hello everyone, I'm Xiao Gang. Next, we'll work on the second skill, the second attack. Let me show you the effect. Actually, this attack is a bit special. We happen to have this case here and we've already prepared it. You'll notice that this thing doesn't use trial detection. You can see that my attack is actually very long. As you can see, this entire swing of the blade deals damage, and it calculates both damage value and defense value because its base attack is 20%, then add attack, plus our own attack, power of 10 points. Then subtract the opponent's defense by 2 points, so it deals 28 damage. Okay, that's roughly how it works. So how do we implement this method? If I open the singleton, everyone might understand. But the singleton might have some bugs. We probably haven't adjusted it. Let's turn on show collision. You'll see that on this sword, there is actually this thing. There is a collision box. You can see it. See? Okay, good. So let's go ahead and implement this skill. First, because the entire damage detection logic is different. It's different from what we did before. Let's first play the animation. Play the animation. Okay, now let's go to our game. Go to our game. As for the logic here, we can't use this manual logic anymore. We need to write a separate T first. Let me see. How do you spell SB? Teacher, BIMB. Okay. As for this skill, it should be scaled. We'll just put it here. It's called air take, right? We'll call it because it floats when attacking. Okay. So first of all, we definitely need to prepare an animation. Right? Okay, let's find this animation. We'll search for it directly here. Okay, that's it. Let's create a montage for it. Let's create its montage. It should be up there. Here is good. After creating this montage, we drag it into this air tag. We put them together. Put it here so we can find it earlier. Because we still need to configure some animation notifications later. Then we can observe this animation. This animation is like this. There is an action. Then we pay attention to this place. We open it, sass it, and there is a trail like blade glow here. We can lengthen this blade glow a bit. Lengthen it a bit, and inside here, it has a sword tip. You can stretch this tip a bit longer. This will make it look better. We can do this. Let's go back here. We'll essentially pull out a key. Here we find this tip. Right here, there's a tip. You will notice this tip. It is in this place. So here, we add a socket. Okay. As for this socket, we can see it should be here. As for this name, let's change it to another one. We'll call this name sword tip. Okay. It is the tip of the tip. Then let's move it. Let's move it to the very front. Make it a bit longer. It shouldn't matter much. Okay. After moving it longer like this, let's save it. Then here we are. Change it to this tip. Tip. Okay, let's check the effect again. This way the effect looks a bit better. This way the blade trail looks more dazzling. Right, okay? Then we need to add another one here. Because we are modifying the bones, so we also need to add an open file bone. This is for later when we attach our collision box. For this open file, we directly put it into our. Just put it here directly. Put it here in VPen to create a socket. And then we name it open fire. We will use this later, okay? We are done here. We won't worry about it. Okay. Iron parts at our montage. This blade glow should fly out. It looks pretty good. And then we create a game ability. and then we didn't write this again. For example, a new one like air attack, because we wrote it using blueprint to make it easier to write. Let's call it air attack again. Okay, double click to open it. It's actually more or less the same, but there are still some differences. We might need to change the network performance inside. So first, it's still the same. We need to perform this check. And then maybe we currently don't have this check yet. No ability cast. All checks like these. Then we are here. This thing of ours will not include this consumption and cooldown. Later, when we work on other skills, we can just write it in. Okay, if this place can pass, then we proceed. If it does not pass, we end the... Okay, if it passes, we submit the ability. Okay, after the submission is complete, we will play a montage here. This montage. We need to promote these two things to variables. This way, it will be more convenient for us to modify them sometimes. Okay, let's compile this montage. We select the one we just set up, the air attack montage, and note that here we can actually use this standard ability locally, but let's ignore it. We'll just use endurability directly. Just turn them all off. Anyway, as long as the animation finishes playing or gets interrupted, we consider this ability release to be finished. Okay. Then here we will create this here. Wait gamma playability. This place is for waiting for an ability to activate the subsequent event. So here we wait. Let's compile it. This event exists. That is, waiting for this event to come and activate because it may be activated multiple times. Since this collision box might collide many times, sending this request many times. So here, we do not check. Trigger once. Okay, as for the logic later on, we can write it later. But actually writing it now is also okay. So let's first handle the logic. For this part, we need to handle the logic here. Here, our ability attack. We need to add one below in the action called air attack. Let's add it in. Okay, this confirms it is this attack, and it will cancel our normal attack or prevent our normal attack from being triggered. So what it means is our heavy attack will interrupt our normal attack. That's what it means. And then it will assign itself this air tag label, and at the same time, it will be blocked by this air tag label. Yes, that should be what it means. This ability will be blocked if we are in a heavy attack situation at the same time. And at the same time, after we make adjustments here, we also need to make a simple adjustment to this thing of ours. And over here, we can ignore the bottom part for now. Just use this local prediction. It's fine to use either Qt or server. Then we are here. We can slow this down a bit. Slow it down a bit, so it looks a bit better to you. Then we go into our mono. In mono here, we need to handle the logic here. That is, the logic is that when it is released, we do not allow it to. When we are in air tag, it is not allowed to release this ability. But it itself will also be blocked by abilities like that. Let's just ignore it. Then at this point, you'll notice, let's take a client to demonstrate it. You'll see that I still can't use it yet. Can't use it. If it can't be used, we need to configure it further, because it seems we have it set up as input system. So let's just add the input system to fill it in. Then here, we'll change this part to airman. It should be air attack, that's fine. Then once that's done, we need to do this inner. And then the key it maps to is our right mouse button. Then after doing this, let's take a look. It shows an error here. Let's see why. Because we might have selected the wrong one. Should have selected the wrong one. Possibly. Compile it. Okay, now it should be fine. Okay, so after this group is done, we also need to configure this in our C++. We can just configure it in our character. In the character, here, in this place, we configure an air attack, a K-type. After the configuration here is done, we need to bind the method inside for our convenience. For convenience, here in this place, and some others, we take this, our small for always, this 1234. We'll write it down as well. This way, it's convenient for us Later on, we won't need to modify this again. Then below, we put it here. We place it here. We have this eratak. Then assign it to 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now let's go ahead and implement them separately. Good. Then we go back to our binding here. We have a dedicated place here for binding the normal input system. Right here. We need to bind these methods. Obviously, we just need to bind this thing. I'll paste it. We'll put it here. Then, when we trigger these actions, we bind its start to this function. As for this function, our approach is we just take the tag of this function and pass it directly in. Right? Okay. Then we'll write the rest as well. Good. This way, we have extended the underlying layer regarding the right-click attack and a mapping of actions like 1234. Then after we extend the input system, we also need to handle the corresponding right-click. Register them as 1234. Right, then later in the blueprint class, we need to do it here. In this place within character base, there is a container. You should still remember here. We need to register via tags, right? Because we register in one place and we bind input in another place, and they will eventually all be in the character class. Meet here. Because the character class comes with many components, then your components generally should not. Component A using component B. That is not correct. You should have component A access its character class. Then through the character class access component B of the character class. That is how it should be done. It would be relatively more reasonable. Because if you have component A access component B, this kind of work, you can easily end up with a mesh-like structure. Like ABC, CA, BA, BC. Then as long as you have many components, once it becomes a mesh, then managing it becomes very painful. If each component only accesses its character, then when you handle it, you can integrate all the logic through this character. That's roughly the idea. Then because this thing, it belongs to a player-specific right-click attack, because our animation, it hasn't been set up. Our animation hasn't been set up with the configuration table. So regarding the right-click attack, we can only assign it to the character class, because if other characters use it, cannot play it, because he doesn't have this animation, cannot play. Okay, so we can see it should be here. We can add a new one here, register a new ability. This ability is called this input tag. Let's take a look. Oh, we happen to have this tag. That's pretty good. Then we find our air tag here. At this point, let's release it. It should work. Okay, note that we only open one here, at client mode. Okay. I can see that our left mouse button is working now, but it seems our right button didn't activate it. Let's investigate what the reason is. So first, let's open this. Let's look at number 3. You will see that our air tag actually already exists, but it is currently not activated. So the reason is actually quite simple. Because for the air tag thing, we actually need to preferably configure it here. Well, because it belongs to input, input should be available for all. It's just whether it actually exists. Whether this character has done it, as for the implementation of this ability, that is uncertain. Then once we configure it here, it will be fine. Hey, you can see that at this point we have this skill, right? Then there is a problem with this skill. That is you will notice that after we cannot switch to the normal tool. When we use the normal tool, we can immediately switch to the right mouse button. Hey, right. This is the effect we just implemented. So now let's adjust this thing. For example, let's turn all of these off. That is our find our game at the common monitor location. If we take this tag, that is, if we uncheck it, Actually, you will find we can do it this way. Hey, it seems like this doesn't prevent it. Release. Then it might need to be adjusted again. Maybe these few tags of his. You might need to check it yourself later. Let's change this part here. Maybe it will give its own tag. Let's remove this part. Okay. Can you see it or not? Our heavy attack cannot be fully released because they are mutually matched or will be enhanced on this montage. The control of this montage you will find. For example, do we have this now? Fixed navigability system. You can see, right? You will see this ON tag. It's actually this very energetic thing. As for how these tags interact with each other, I'll leave that for you to study in depth on your own, because the comments here are quite clear. After you test it, you will have a clearer understanding. Now the effect we want to achieve is that our light attack can switch. This may attack at any time, but our heavy attack. Our heavy attack cannot be manually switched to a light attack either. Our heavy attack, after it is released, unless it is interrupted by someone, it will keep executing until it finishes, right? Unlike our light attack mechanism, see, with our light attack mechanism, even before it is fully released, halfway through, I can still do this. Switch to the heavy attack mechanism. Okay, then let's write the logic for the latter part next. Since we're writing it all here anyway. Then on our side, it's equivalent to registering an event. This event needs to wait for our damage collision box to detect it before we can proceed further. We don't have this damage collision box yet, but we'll ignore it for now. We'll handle it later in the communication notification. What we need to do now is assume we have already played this animation. It will get the sword swing to hit people during the entire sword swinging process. It may perform swing detection on multiple targets. We will only handle this on the server. Process this on the server authority. First, we get up when we are on the server, get our own ASC. We create a world, such an object of context. We promote it to a variable. Promote to a variable. As for the name of this variable, we can just call it this name. This is the context for the ability activation. Then we take this target. We need to apply a gameplay effect to our target. This target is obtained through our gameplay event. That is, within our gameplay event, there will be a target. That is which targets this event hits. This will be passed through this mechanism. And as for this target, we must get its ability system. We must get its basis. Then this is the target. Then when we do the private, it's this target that does the private. Okay. There must be a clear understanding here. Then we put the world context into it. As for the level, we'll ignore it. Then here we need an effect. And as for this effect, we need to do some special handling. We can paste one here. We originally wrote a memory here. We'll paste it over. We'll move it into the air tag. We need to give this an air tag. Because it's a bit different. Then we open this air tag. Then after we open it, we need to set its parameters. Then the parameter here is no longer this one. We switch to another type. For this type, we call it air attack. We add it in. It is of this type. Okay. Then for this damage, we set it higher. We give it a damage of 20 points. This way, its damage is relatively higher. And for the game queue here, we won't use this one. Let's switch to another one, because we might change some things. We'll avoid it causing any damage attack. Okay, that's good. It hasn't been added. We add it, and it's this one. Okay, then we also need to change this GEC, because I want to, at this point, introduce the calculation of attack and armor. And this calculation, we cannot do it in the AVT, because doing it in the AVT will cause a problem. That is, in this place, this gameplay effect, the modified value it receives will be incorrect. So your attribute has a deduction of 28, but your game queue only has 10. We can test it for everyone later. We need to rewrite this part. We haven't written this yet. We'll write it in the next few steps. So roughly this. Logic should be like this. Then let's leave it here for now, because this part involves our presentation layer. The presentation layer must wait for our intermediate damage processing layer to be properly handled and completed. Because the upper level calls have been prepared. Okay, let's stop here for this lesson.